Hey everyone, Keegan here with Article 15 Arms out here in the Arizona desert. Whether you're building your own weapon system or buying one off the shelf, it's vital you understand how it operates, allowing it to be up in the fight when you need it the most. I prefer to build, and with that you're going to get a custom firearm, but you're also getting an understanding of how it operates as you do that build. If that's the route you choose to go, the first question you have to ask yourself is, what part do I purchase first, or which one do I invest the most money into? Let's head back to the gun room. I'll go over what I consider to be the ground part for all AR platforms, and that's a strip lower. So I'll meet you back there and we'll get into it. Hey everyone, we're here in the gun room. I've taken down a couple of our firearms to very close to strip lower. A lot of them still have their triggers and some other parts in them, but we're going to go over lowers today. Now, you can search the internet. There's going to be a wide variety of them on the market of all different types of materials. Typically, you're going to see an aluminum. There are steel out there and polymer. So I'm going to go into the aluminum a little bit. When you're looking for aluminum, you want to figure out what your use is going to be for. If you're just going to take it to the range frequently, put a couple rounds through it, that needs to be incorporated in your decision-making process. When you're talking about aluminum, you're going to have basically two different types: your 6061 T6 and your 7075 T6. Now, if you're not a materials expert, the T6 is actually its heat treatment. So you can actually have a 7075 T5 or T4, but for this purpose, they typically do T6. There's some benefits to both. Your 7075 is going to be your stronger. It's also going to be about 2 times the strength of what a 6061 is going to be. Your 6061 is typically your corrosive resistant. It's got more corrosive resistant than the 7075. It also depends on the material you're going to have coated on it. You can get a completely bare metal stripped one, and you can get one with wide variety of coatings. With that, you're also going to get how it's built. Now, there's casting, billeted, and forged are the standard ones. Casting being your weakest build process, and forged being your strongest. There are only a couple manufacturers of actual aluminum blocks that get sent out, and then those specific companies like your Aero Precisions, your Anderson Manufacturings, they take those and then they either billet them or cast them, or whatever the case may be, into their product. And with that being said, I am going to turn the camera down here and show you what we got on the table, and walk you through some of the benefits. All right, you'll see here on the table we got a wide variety to some degree of what you can get out there. You'll obviously see that some of them have been customized. Also have one here that I haven't fully unboxed yet. What we're going to do is we're going to start down here. This is a Palomino State Armory, or PSA. What this is a 7075 T6 forged aluminum. Pretty decent quality. They're going to run you about, depending on if you can find a deal, $50 to $180. PSA is pretty known for making some specially engraved stuff, some comedy stuff, some service branch supporting stuff. I have here one that's called a Ghost Gun 15, and you can see it's got a little ghost with an AR platform on it, and a couple other things on the safety selector switch. When you get this, it's going to come completely void of all parts. No trigger, slide catch, no mag catch, no nothing. And you'll get that, and that's how you'll begin your build. Now, PSA is not necessarily top of the line. I'm not going to say it's lower end. I really enjoy their product, but you can get a more higher end. Now, if you're looking for something more ambidextrous or something more robust, they do make things out there that can go up to $400, $500. Now, is this something you're going to want to invest your money in? Well, that's going to be up to you. But I like to find something that works and invest my money in things such as the trigger or the buffer spring and buffer tube. You'll see here, flip it over, it's got nothing engraved on this side. They're pretty good quality. I've had no issues with this. Now, PSA does some really great products. They're not top of the line. They're definitely not bottom of the barrel. And they do work, and that's what's important. I choose mine based on it just being a working component. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. The magazine catches the magazine. The bolt catches the bolt. And there's appropriate spacing for all the pins for the various other components. Now, with that being said, for those of you who are brand new to building, this is what's going to be your best option. This, or I would say an Anderson, and we'll talk about this one in a minute. Investing your money in a $400, $500 part, you can do it, but is it going to be worth the money to send maybe that into a trigger or an optic? That's my opinion. So with that said, I would say this is a pretty decent quality one. Obviously, this is for a 300 Blackout that I'm building. And we'll go into what's a lot of people consider as a very low quality. This one I would say is pretty well known for being a very, very cheap lower. This is an Anderson manufacturing, not much frills to them at all. This one you can either buy just like PSA, you can buy it assembled like this, or you can buy it completely stripped without all the inner workings, trigger and safety mechanism and what have you. This is going to run you between $40 and $80, maybe $90, depending on where you get it. This one too is a pretty decent quality one, and I would say for beginning builders, this is a great option. Not only are you not going to break the bank with it, but you're not going to have a failed part as when you put hundreds of rounds into it. This Anderson lower is a 7075 T6 forged aluminum, just like the PSA. You'll notice both the PSA and the Anderson have a trigger guard piece that you will have to add if you're buying it stripped. Some kits come with it. You can buy your own, make it green, make it custom, whatever you want to do. A lot of times they have this, you know, people have an opinion it's because of gloves. If you have thicker gloves, you can get your finger in there. My personal opinion is it's aesthetic. This is a better look. Do whatever your purpose of this firearm is going to be. But as far as Anderson goes, I would say this is probably your best starter piece, especially if you want to take that money and invest it into something worthwhile. Like I said with the PSA, not many moving parts, no high energy in here. The combustion of the ammunition is not being done in this part. You'll be happy with this as well as the PSA, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at something that's a little higher end compared to these two, and that is our Aero Precision. So this one's an Aero Precision stripped lower. You can see here, this one does not have the trigger guard separate piece. This was one of my favorite builds I did. You can see it's custom painted. It was painted then heat treated, so this paint you'll see is not coming off. This one here actually comes with a unique feature. There's actually a screw here. If you look at some of these other ones, when you start getting into building, they actually have a pin that you'll have to hammer in. This Aero Precision actually is a screw and makes this installation super easy. Just like these, you can either get it like this or you can get it with it completely stripped and bare parts. This one's going to run you 109, I think on Aero Precision's site right now. I've seen them as high as 140 depending on what model you're going. Most of these, they say multi-cal. You can use them for 9mm, 45, 5.56, 308. If you're looking to get those pistol caliber rounds, they have an insert that you put in here that will block off so you can allow to fit a magazine. This one is a 5.56, so is my Anderson. Like I said before, the PSA is 300 blackout. Anderson's a great manufacturer. I don't have anything negative to say about them. They're based out of Lakewood, Washington for now. I haven't heard of any issues. They have great manufacturing process, great quality control. Now this is a 7075 T6, just like the other two, forged aluminum. And you're going to see most of these are forged, which in my opinion, if you're going to look at what the quality is, look for something forged. Whether it be 6061 or 7075, I think you're not going to find anything you're unhappy with, but I would look for forged. Put a bunch of rounds through this, haven't had any issues. I'd recommend all Aero Precision's products. I have a bunch of them, and you can see here this is an Aero Precision. We'll get into this in a minute. But yeah, decent quality. I would say if you're talking, this is probably going to be your cheapest end. This one next up, and then an Aero Precision is going to be what you're going at with price range between 100 and 150-ish. This one here, we'll move into this. This is not a stripped lower. This is actually a taken apart M&P 15 Sport. You can see Smith & Wesson, pretty decent quality. This is also going to be a forged 70, 75. This is what you're looking at if you're off the shelf, but you can see, and I took it apart because you look at this Anderson here compared to this MP, there's not much difference. In terms of machining quality, I would say that it's pretty on par with each other. There are many other types out here. This has got a price tag of about $700 for the full rifle, maybe a little bit more now. When I bought it, it was about $700-800. With this one's about a price tag of $50. So keep that in mind when you're building. There are many different types of lowers out there, brands and companies. I'm going to put an image here on the screen and show you a wide variety. It's kind of a joke, but you could see a wide variety of different ones. It's going to be up to you on what you want to invest your money in. These are just some of my recommendations. Now, we talked about Aero Precision. This is our Aero Precision 9mm lower, or EPC, and it comes in 45, it comes in 9, but you can see this is what a fully stripped lower is going to look like. It's got no components in it whatsoever, and you can see the difference between 9mm specific and a 5.56 or multi-caliber. You can actually, like I said, make this a 9mm. You'd add an insert, allow for the magazine. This one's specifically built to 9mm. But one thing that's important is you can see, because of Aero Precision, they do a screw. You're going to be able to unscrew that, put your component in there, put it back in. But some of these other ones, you're going to need a pin and a mallet and a hammer and whatever. Now, a lot of times you're going to hear, I need mine ambidextrous. Now, that's great. If you're a left-handed shooter, makes it your life easier. That's fantastic. The cynic Marine in me says train for the most common thing you're going to find. In the event that your weapon system fails, you can then be proficient in another weapon system. And with that being said, we're all not going overseas or, you know, fighting guerrilla warfare. So do what's best for you. I would say that anytime you're talking about an ambidextrous, this is not one, but anytime you're talking about ambidextrous, it's going to be an increase in cost. Now, if you're not familiar with what ambidextrous is, you can see my M&P here. I have it set up, it's right hand. A true ambidextrous has every single control on both sides. And you can see here, the fire selector is on that side. Now, if it were ambidextrous, you would also be able to do it on this side. One thing that I did add to this is a bad lever. If you're not familiar, it allows you to send your bolt back forward. Once it runs dry, you insert another magazine, send the bolt back, and you're back in battery. You can see on an ambidextrous, you will have not only just a bolt catch left-handed, but you also see a mag catch and release left-handed. They make them out there. They're pretty pricey, where it is billeted and designed to, or not billeted, forged and designed to specifically hold those controls. However, if you want to buy an Anderson or buy an Aero or PSA, and you want to make yours ambidextrous to some degree, you can. Are the part kits going to be a little more expensive? Yeah, but is it going to be $400 or $500 more expensive? No. You can probably find an ambidextrous trigger for about $60, depending on what you want, how you want it to look, or what color you want it. You can find it. So don't shy away from buying something like this if you're a left-handed shooter. Buy something like this and invest your time and research into finding the ambidextrous parts. Now, you're not going to get things like the mag catch or the bolt catch exactly how an ambidextrous looks. You're going to get pretty close. With that said, that covers some of the aluminum. There's steel out there. There's polymer. One thing I have to say about polymer, there's a lot of companies that will advertise their polymer lowers saying it's to reduce the weight. Now, that's true, but is the weight difference between one of these and a polymer going to be worth it? And the answer, in my opinion, is no. And the other thing you have to keep in mind, if you're building, when you get a polymer, and you have two materials rubbing up against each other and they are dissimilar materials, you are going to have either corrosion or significant wear and tear. Polymers are not made to have your aluminum or steel safety mechanism continuously going like that. You're going to want something that's specifically designed for polymer. So if you're going to invest your money in that, you're going to have to invest your money in some of the controls that work better for it. Is it going to break right away if you don't? No. Over a long period of time, is it? More than likely. If you're looking to be a more bougie builder, and this is not your first build, or it is your first build, and you just want to have the most expensive firearm out there, by all means do it. But my personal opinion is start cheap with these. And when I say cheap, I just mean in cost, not in quality. Because you could find a cost-efficient component and still have a pretty decent quality. But it's up to you. If that's the route you want to go, then by all means. So that covers a lot of our lowers today. Tons of stuff out there. Do your research. If you want to go with polymer, go with polymer. If you want to go with steel, go with steel. What you find isn't necessarily going to be wrong. Make sure you're doing your research. Don't break the bank. Have a good time. There's one thing we didn't cover here, and I'm not going to, and that's 80% lowers. If you're into machining and you want to get that far, we're going to make a video later on 80% lowers and maybe the cost benefit of that. But right now, we're not going to get into that. But with that being said, I appreciate everyone's time. Let me know if this helped getting your build started, or maybe giving you the right direction to go. If you have any questions, Article 15 Arms LLC. We have a Facebook. Also, go follow us on Instagram. The more followers we get, obviously, the more content we can put out. Go ahead and like or subscribe this video. We're going to keep coming out with more. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.